Ship 37 is back at the launch site for testing. What was the holdup and did everything work out, and what does this mean for Flight 10? Is an August Starship launch still possible? China is launching satellites from a barge, a new launch provider emerges in the UK, and our view of the universe is about to get even better. My name is Felix, welcome to What About It, let's dive right in. Starship updates. SpaceX's Ship 37, the ship slated for Flight 10, went back onto Pad 1's OLM. But why is that? Didn't it already do a static fire? Yes, it did. On July 31st, Ship 37 conducted a single-engine static fire, followed 1 day later by a 6-engine static fire. Both of these tests seem to go well. So what's the reason for a new test? In the early morning hours of August 5th, we saw a vacuum Raptor roll to Gigabay 2. A vacuum Raptor, or short RVac, is a vacuum-optimized version of the normal sea-level Raptor engine, easily distinguishable by the much larger bell. Current Starship generations have 3 of them, while a future version might get 6. Just minutes later, one of these RVacs rolled out of the bay again. What SpaceX performed inside Gigabay 1 is referred to as an engine swap, and this isn't the first time something similar has happened. Ship 35, back then a part of Starship Flight 9, saw a replacement as well before the launch. This ultimately led to a spin prime at Massey's just 5 days before liftoff. But how does this translate to Ship 37? During Ship 37's rollout back to the launch site for a second time, NASA spaceflight was able to look under the skirt, into the engine bay. What were you thinking? What this short glimpse showed is very important to the story. As mentioned earlier, Raptors come in 2 different variants, sea levels and vacuums. While the sea level engines are meant to be fired at sea level, the vacuum engines are not. They are to be used in space, once the ship leaves the atmosphere behind. To stabilize the RVacs during static fires, SpaceX installs white stiffener rings around each RVac, as seen here, so that they don't get damaged when fired at sea level and on a static fire stand. Now that we know this, let's look at the video again. Notice how it doesn't have a stiffener ring. What this means is that SpaceX does not plan to actually ignite the engines. So what were they doing? In our last episode, the modified ship transport stand was lifted back onto the OLM, while the quick disconnect frame was seemingly re-prepped for testing. This could only mean that Ship 37 would be going for a spin prime. But the road closure said it was a static fire. Correct, but these closures have been wrong before, take it with a few grains of salt. Ship 37 arrived at the launch site, where it received the Ship QD plate and was further lifted onto the OLM again. Also, early in the morning on the 11th, 2 road closures were posted for late day on the 12th and all day on the 13th. The 11th was rollout day for Ship 37, and on the 12th we saw this. Testing began but was quickly shut down again, a regular old scrub. The reason? Starship Gazer posted an image later after the test showing a worker replacing a cryogenic flex hose. A leak on the Ship QD was very likely the cause. The second attempt worked. On August 13th, Ship 37 was fueled and readied for a spin prime test. That seems to be all that was needed. Nominal execution by the SpaceX crew, you rock. Next, it's back to the production site for last preparations, and then we should be ready for Flight 10 within the next 5 to 10 days, where 5 is lightning fast and 10 is a more normal projection. So Flight 10 has a real chance of launching on the 22nd. Get your popcorn ready. I'll be streaming and I can't wait to watch this together with you. Speaking of ship testing, let's head over to SpaceX's Massey test site real quick. The ship cryoproofing stand is getting a massive update. But why? As far as I remember, that wasn't damaged during the Ship 36 explosion. Let's find out. This stand is used for ships that do not have engines yet. It uses a series of 6 actuators that put pressure on the thrust puck, simulating engine thrust. You fuel the ship and press against it from below to simulate flight-like conditions. 1 actuator for each engine is used to simulate the thrust. RVacs on the outside, sea-level engines on the inside. This stand needs to be reconfigured for several reasons, primarily due to the introduction of the new generation of Raptors. Raptor 3 is coming! Finally, after such a long time, which totally wasn't long by aerospace standards, but felt like an eternity, we are getting that new miracle engine delivered to Starbase very soon. We can only assume that Raptor 3 will have a different weight attached to the thrust puck, hence why the stand is being worked on. The first Block 3 ship, Ship 39, should give us a better idea of what's changed. Before we continue, here's something you can do to help ensure that we can keep reporting these things. Hit the subscribe button to stay informed. Like this video if it brought you value and become a wise supporter for extra content. Secure your access to up to 7 picture galleries per week, satellite, helicopter and ground photos and 3D animations. Chat with me and gain more insights on the topic you love. On we go with Starbase. Because we want to see this, the Gigabay fully operational and spitting out boosters for Starship launches. Agreed? Good. Richard sat down in our Redline helicopter and came back with a whole bag of pictures that supporters have been able to sift through for a few days now. Some of those shots show the Gigabay progress up close, and one thing is clear. It is going to be Giga. Preparations are in full swing for concrete pouring. A big slab of concrete will seal this off eventually. Piling crews have driven a huge amount of piles into the ground to support this large building on the soft sand, and all the needed sheet piles seem to be in as well. As soon as this foundation is done, we'll see a giant skeleton made from metal beams rise into the sky. In RGV's images from a few days before, we can already see the 2 large gates that will lead directly onto Highway 4, giving boosters plenty of space and a very short commute out of their Gigabay. Finally, we need to talk about a separation. Air separation. This game-changing facility will produce liquid oxygen and likely also nitrogen on site, fueling Starship's mighty Raptor engines. By cutting reliance on external suppliers, SpaceX is gearing up for high-frequency launches. Think hundreds in just a few years. This image, also taken by Richard on August 12th, shows the problem well. Starships need a lot of fuel. All this needs to be brought in via trucks. So do you want to see amazingly cool things like this from the air with your own eyes? Check out redlineheli.com/Felix for a once-in-a-lifetime experience and $25 off flying in a helicopter above Starbase. The Redline helicopter team is waiting for you. They'll show you the same views our photographer gets on his Starbase flights. Give it a try. The Cape is starting to show significant progress as well. From the Crew 11 launch, we got a peek at the flame trench at Pad 39A, showing that work is well underway. In a flyover from Max Evans from NASA spaceflight, we can see that they are now preparing the flame bucket. Or that it's already done. What is that gap in the bucket, you ask? It's exactly the same as the flame bucket we see at Starbase's new and greatly improved Pad 2. These gaps are there on purpose, as that is where the crane that lifts the bucket into the trench will attach. If only we could have a better view of the 39A flame trench progress right now. Time will tell when this bucket will be lifted, but I don't see it happening for a bit longer, as the trench doesn't appear ready just yet, at least from what we've seen. Finally, to end this segment off, pun intended, we can see an orbital launch integration tower segment. Let's see, that makes 1, 2, 3, 4 segments at the Cape ready for stacking. And I so can't wait to see Starships on the East Coast. Let's talk Amazon for a moment. Project Kuiper is evolving. Kuiper Systems LLC, a subsidiary of Amazon, was established in 2019 and was set to deploy a large satellite internet constellation. The name Kuiper comes from the so-called Kuiper Belt, a large belt of icy objects just beyond the orbit of Neptune. The Federal Communications Commission granted Kuiper permission to launch 3,236 satellites in 98 orbital planes at altitudes of 590 kilometers, 610 kilometers, and 630 kilometers, with launches in 5 separate phases. That's a big constellation. With a total of 3 launches booked with SpaceX, 2 have already launched in quick succession. KF-02 was set to launch on August 7th, but that changed. It was scrubbed until the 9th. No, not then either, let's try the 10th. Not then either, maybe the 11th. Finally, liftoff. As said before, the weather in Florida in the summer is bumpy. The second stage rode to orbit and the first stage landed on the autonomous drone ship, a shortfall of gravitas. 1 hour and 4 minutes later, KF-02 was deployed, completing the 100th flight for SpaceX of the year. Good job, SpaceX, you rock! As a fun fact, Amazon has booked only 3 launches for Kuiper on SpaceX Falcon 9 rockets so far, even though it would be by far the fastest solution to meet the FCC deadline. They are supposed to launch another 1,516 satellites by July 30th, 2026, fingers crossed. And here's another fun fact about this mission. This brand new booster was originally a Falcon Heavy center core. SpaceX repurposed it to be a standard Falcon 9. At our house, learning isn't something that just happens at a desk. It happens around the clock, questions over breakfast, experiments in the backyard, or during a drive. With 3 curious homeschooled kids running around, we are always looking for ways to nurture that everyday curiosity and help them make sense of the world around them. And that is where KiwiCo comes in. Each month, KiwiCo delivers incredible fun, hands-on STEM projects right to our doorstep. No screens, no stress, just real building and real experimenting. And I'm constantly impressed with how they weave real science and engineering concepts into activities that feel like pure play. KiwiCo offers crates for every age and interest, from science and engineering to art and culture. So there is always something to spark excitement for the kids in your life. My youngest had a blast with the Thresh Kit Ball crate. Who knew building your own mini basketball game could teach basic mechanics?
And
Meanwhile, our other kids assembled the delivery bot and started plotting how to automate snack deliveries. Even I was impressed. Want to spark a love for science and discovery in your kids? Do it! Check out KiwiCo. Use my link kiwico.com/whataboutit or the code whataboutit for 50% off your first monthly crate. And trust me, your kids will love it and so will you. We're staying with Jeff Bezos. Blue Origin has announced its Mars Telecommunication Orbiter. This MTO is a high-performance spacecraft built on the company's existing and thus affordable Blue Ring platform. According to Blue Origin, the MTO is ready to support NASA's ambitious Mars mission planned for 2028. The new system represents a significant leap forward in interplanetary communication infrastructure. I do like the sound of that. It promises a robust and continuous communication link between Earth and Mars. The underlying Blue Ring platform was designed to serve as a versatile space transportation system. And it is not the only piece of equipment Blue Origin has already in development and can now put to use in the MTO project. This extraordinary orbiter will also benefit from the company's previously proposed Mars Next Generation Relay and Mars Sample Return architectures. Such a strategy shows how valuable in-house design of various space-related technologies can become. SpaceX does the same. It provides a solid base for future projects such as the MTO. Blue Ring has a planned capacity of transporting payloads greater than 1,000 kilograms to a Mars orbit, depending on mission requirements. This should be more than enough to deliver a sophisticated communication platform. One of the MTO's most innovative features is its hybrid propulsion system. It utilizes both electric and chemical propulsion, offering advanced maneuvering capabilities. This choice also opens up a greatly expanded window to get to Mars. In other words, it has power to spare for previously unplanned maneuvers like bigger course corrections or launch delays. The result is a reduction of general mission risk. This hybrid approach also allows spacecraft to reach the Red Planet even under challenging launch conditions. The magic lies in the electric propulsion system's ability to supplement the chemical propulsion system on demand, offering unmatched flexibility. MTO is set out to provide high-speed communications between Mars and Earth continuously. It does so through multiple steerable high-rate links that are supported by a broad beam able to cover a wide area. But there is even more clever transmission technology at play here. The coverage is enhanced by deployable UHF relay satellites. These can provide UHF coverage that can be used to support both legacy and future assets. That technology will be very useful for future demonstrations of entry, descent, and landing of Mars landers. Beyond traditional communications relay functionality, MTO offers powerful additional features like edge processing, data storage, and even AI capabilities. Once inserted into a Martian orbit, MTO is set to become a valuable tool ready for a future of science and exploration on Mars. A Jielong 3 rocket lifted off on August 8th and it carried 11 satellites built by Chinese private satellite venture G-Space. The rocket was launched from a barge off the coast of Rizhao, a coastal metropolis located between Beijing and Shanghai. This pioneering sea-based launch is yet another reminder of China's growing launch capabilities. They're getting better and more versatile. Jielong 3 is a 4-stage solid-fueled rocket that stands 31.8 meters tall with a diameter of 2.65 meters for the first and second stages. It is also known as Smart Dragon 3 or SD3. With a liftoff weight of 140 to 145 tons, it has a payload capacity of 1.6 tons to a 500-kilometer sun-synchronous orbit. This results in it being able to deliver up to 20 satellites per launch. With 41 operational satellites, G-Space's constellation does not really raise an eyebrow just yet. But G-Space has huge ambitions. They are targeting a massive 5,942 satellite constellation that positions the company as a direct challenger to SpaceX's Starlink dominance. G-Space is different from many of its competitors because the company has deep roots in the automotive industry. It's part of the Geely technology group, the same conglomerate behind EVs branded as Volvos, Polestars and Zeekr. These ties are no coincidence. In fact, they are highly valuable. They offer guaranteed integration opportunities with mass-produced vehicles. And it is not just a potential advantage for the future either. G-Space has already embedded satellite communication capabilities in different car models. With extensive experience in car mass manufacturing, the company went all in on its satellite constellation project. The result is the Taizhou Satellite Super Factory, not Gigabay. This cutting-edge manufacturing facility is able to churn out around 500 satellites a year. Chinese Starlink for cars, that is a thing now. Let's head over to Europe, specifically UK-based Skyrora. The company recently received long-awaited good news as it was finally granted a launch operator license. With this license secured, Skyrora can launch rockets up to 16 times a year. Their launch base is the Saxeford Spaceport, located on the Shetland Islands off the coast of Scotland. The spaceport has previously received a safety license from the UK Civil Aviation Authority CAA. So it will only be a matter of time before we see Skyrora launching its Skylark L rocket. A launch for that rocket is currently slated for the first quarter of 2026 at the earliest. These 11-meter tall suborbital rockets are a crucial stepping stone toward the inaugural launch of Skyrora's larger orbital rocket, the Skylark XL, which is currently set to launch no earlier than 2027. Skyrora plans to offer affordable launch services to manufacturers of small satellites in Europe. The company aims to be more than a rocket manufacturer and launch provider though. It has already developed an innovative 3D printer capable of printing multi-composite parts simultaneously from several materials widely used in the aerospace industry. Another project at Skyrora is an all-new aerospace fuel called Ecozine. Plastic waste is the basis for this new propellant. The target is to lower CO2 emissions by 70% when compared to standard methods of fuel production. We shouldn't leave the British Isles before mentioning Marklab, the brand new rocket test facility near the tiny town of Campbelltown, otherwise famous for its Scotch whiskey. Not far off from the Mull of Kintyre. Yes, the one Paul McCartney made famous. Marklab aims to become the UK's leading hub for rocket development. This facility is yet another step in a wider plan to establish the United Kingdom as Europe's gateway to space. Over at the Goddard Space Flight Center in Greenbelt, Maryland, the Nancy Grace Roman Space Telescope has taken another step forward in a time of uncertainty with NASA's budget facing severe cuts. Please don't cut that one. Please don't cut that one. This space telescope stands poised to revolutionize our understanding of the universe. It is expected to launch by May 2027. Named after NASA's first chief astronomer, this ambitious $3.5 billion project represents the next generation of space-based astronomy. Effectively becoming the aging Hubble Space Telescope's successor, this cutting-edge instrument will possess capabilities that dwarf its predecessor. With a field of view at least 100 times larger than Hubble's infrared view, Roman will provide panoramic maps of the universe at unprecedented space-based resolutions. This will be epic, mind-blowing views are guaranteed. The telescope features a primary mirror 2.5 meters in diameter, the same size as Hubble's primary mirror. A shorter focal length is what makes the dramatic difference. With this different setup, Roman is uniquely suited for wide-field imaging surveys. This primary mirror is the result of a clever repurposing idea that started with an unusual donation. Initially, it was part of a spy satellite for the National Reconnaissance Office. This project never came to fruition, ultimately resulting in the donation of 2 identical mirrors to NASA. We will never know what made the NRO's cut. One of these mirrors was later modified to meet the Roman Space Telescope's specific requirements. Roman carries 2 sophisticated instruments designed for groundbreaking research. The Wide Field Instrument, a 300 megapixel infrared camera, will survey the cosmos from the outskirts of our solar system toward the edge of the observable universe. Over its mission lifetime, this instrument will measure light from 1 billion galaxies and perform a micro-lensing survey of the inner Milky Way to find an estimated 2,600 exoplanets. And it has more groundbreaking instruments to offer. The coronagraph instrument will test new technologies for dimming host stars to image planets and dusty disks around them in far better detail than ever before. This starlight-blocking coronagraph serves as a key prototype for NASA's next major astrophysics flagship mission, the Habitable Worlds Observatory, which I might need to do an episode about. Roman's primary mission focuses on answering fundamental questions about dark energy and dark matter. Recent results from other surveys suggest that dark energy, whose force is seemingly pushing galaxies apart at an accelerating rate, might surprisingly weaken over time. NASA's new telescope will work complementarily with the European Space Agency's Euclid telescope and the ground-based Vera C. Rubin Observatory to provide multiple perspectives on these cosmic phenomena. The telescope assembly has already been completed and delivered to NASA's Goddard Space Flight Center. It's ready! Engineers at Goddard have successfully installed 2 sun shields on the Nancy Grace Roman Space Telescope, marking a significant milestone for one of NASA's most highly anticipated space observatories. Politicians in Washington, D.C. should take a good look at the sky tonight and imagine what wonders lie out there to be discovered. And that's it for today. Smash the like button, subscribe for more. This is what fuels the algorithm, and this is how you can help us for free. Check out our epic shirts in your favorite Space Nerd store. Lots of designs by me and other spaceflight artists. The link is in the description and in the card you should see now. And if you want to learn more about how AI might be the first to put a footprint on Mars, watch this video next to continue your journey. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you again in the next episode. Nominal and future assets. Dude.